Let's talk markets now with Kourtney Gibson. She's the CEO of Retirement Solutions at TIAA, where she oversees $894 billion in assets.
Wow.
I know, it's a lot. So we're glad to have you here. We've obviously been having this debate. We were just having one during the commercial break about, what the situation, the alleged firing of Lisa Cook by the president means for the sanctity of the Fed independence, the market reaction you would expect to see. When the news came out, we saw a dip in the dollar. When she said she would essentially fight these allegations, the dollar came back up. So not much in the way of market movement, market reaction to this. Do you think if we were going to see the market reaction, we would have seen it already, or is there still more to come?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's fantastic to be back on CNBC this morning. This is a really interesting conundrum when you think about what's happening with the Fed. And candidly, it's an unprecedented time right now in the market, and we're going to see just how influential the actual Fed and the Fed's movements, actions, and the folks on the Fed actually move the markets. I mean, obviously between 2s and 10s, you're seeing on the short end of the curve, you're seeing kind of those come in a little bit, and you're seeing rates kind of fall, but you're seeing that longer end of the curve telling you there's some risk. And so what is that telling you in the market, even minutely today? And again, this will play out, I think, longer term over time. But what it's showing you is that they are putting a risk premium on the longer end of the curve at this point, and you're seeing spreads widen. That is telling you that the adult in the room, aka the bond market, is actually saying, we will determine what the rates are longer term. The Fed controls the short end of the curve, and we shall see what the Fed actually ultimately does and what the political uncertainty means for the marketplace, both in stocks as well as in bonds.
So if you're concerned about Fed independence, if you're concerned about, the potential trustworthiness of the data coming out, in terms of portfolio allocation, do you just look for different assets that you think will outpace inflation at this juncture, just to make sure that you're covered on that front?
Our markets in the United States are incredibly resilient. And at the end of the day, we do have companies with strong earnings. We have the ability to review their earnings, the 10Ks, the 10Qs. We can look at cash flows. We can look at op margin. We can look at growth. At the end of the day, we have multiple ways, and probably more than ever before, to be able to vet the quality of both stocks and bonds in our market. So when I think about portfolio allocation, and in particularly at TIAA, what we tell our retirement participants is to ensure that you are sticking to the glide path that you have, that you are focused on the outcomes that you want to achieve. So if you want XYZ in retirement, ensure that you are properly allocated, that you are saving enough, and that you have protection in your portfolio. There was actually some really good news coming out of a recent executive order where alternatives were included in the executive order. The little known piece that people aren't as focused on, probably because it's just not as sexy, not as cute, are annuities. And annuities are something that candidly can provide guaranteed protection in a portfolio and the potential opportunity at the end of the day to annuitize and provide a guaranteed paycheck. And that's what Americans want. They want it while they're working, and they want it in retirement. And right now there's just a lot of uncertainty. So where you can take a portion of your portfolio and say, look, this is not going down. I'm guaranteed a minimum, and I have the ability at the end of the day to create a paycheck. You want to be able to do that, and I think that that is a fantastic piece coming out of the most recent executive order that's kind of underplayed right now.